foodborne illness is one area where the exact burden is not known. However, NCDC has taken various steps to know the burden of different diseases, and of course the foodborne illness is our priority. Now we have integrated disease surveillance program at NCDC, and through which we collect information on different outbreaks. Periodically, data on outbreaks is reported. Ultimately, our objective is to have a good quality outbreak investigation, good laboratory system, and then we want to have the evidence based on which regulatory mechanism can be improved, and then we want to create awareness about the food safety, which is this is one of the occasions when we have the World Health Day on this, and also the regulatory system which we have.
We have a network of 25 laboratories across the country, and they are ISO 17025 accredited by the Department of Science and Technology. So they are collecting market sample from various about 15 different food commodities, and they analyze for the pesticide residue. And this whole data we are submitting to the Ministry of Agriculture, and that data is shared with the State Agriculture Department to take the corrective action. In addition to this, we are submitting our monitoring data to the Codex Committee on Pesticide Residue, JMPR, for the risk assessment and the fixation of MRL. The spices and tea are the two important exportable commodity. So on this, our monitoring study and gap trial, we are submitting our data to the international level.
There are well-established foodborne infections coming from the animals to human being. For example, salmonellosis, listeriosis, lot many to name. Then some are emerging due to globalization, due to increase in population growth, or due to different socio-economic factors. We should go for baseline data generation and risk analysis, multi-sectoral collaboration to mitigate the harms due to animal-human interactions, and development of an integrated data reporting system and repository involving all the stakeholders.
The consumer is the one big group which includes all of us, who is totally not aware of the existence of the Act, the regulations, and what he is to see on a day-to-day basis to ensure that he consumes safe food. So this is one of the key challenges. Besides this, the other, of course, is infrastructure deficit. In infrastructure deficit, we have a huge challenge of qualified and trained manpower. Both at the central level, we are an authority, and at the state level, we are the enforcement agencies. As enforcement is a state function, and all enforcement is done at the state level, we need sufficient manpower. We are all existing in silos. There may be a very good laboratory existing in some part of the country. We may have huge amount of trained manpower and infrastructure investment over there, but there is absolutely no coordination between the various sectors, so that as a country and as a holistic approach, we can use each other and really come by these challenges.
I just want to lay it out in a framework which, for myself, I refer to as the 4 I's. One is the nature of the industry. The industry today is fairly heterogeneous. A large portion of it is small, medium enterprise, 3 or 4 people, working towards creating a small-scale cottage industry. The second, related with that, is the lack of access of information. So how do we percolate this across the millions and lakhs of food beverage operators that exist across this country? The third is infrastructure that we've talked about. And finally, most importantly, is the implementation. So the institutional manpower and the capacity to be able to deliver these. This is where the role of industry in terms of managing these supply chains effectively, communicating to consumers in a transparent form, is really the role that industry can play.
Consumers are completely at dark about the good and the bad food. They are actually focusing, and today, introspect and you'll find out you're actually focusing on good and bad taste. Whether you're talking of street food or whether you're talking of packaged food, the transition therefore has not yet begun about all of us, and all of us are consuming food every day from all sources, about actually recognizing food which is nutritious for us, which is going to help us to avoid diseases. Last but not the least, in fact, the label reading habits and things like that have been mentioned. Now, in a survey conducted by Consumer International across the globe, in fact, we found out that the label reading habits, and I'm talking of a minuscule packaged food now here, is again in a very minuscule stage as far as even developed nations are concerned. Forget about India, which is basically 79% of the consumers do not read labels. That, given the situation, the scenario between packaged food and unpackaged food, the consumer is actually confused. And today, we need a lot of awareness drive with authorities, with government, to actually make consumer awareness today an in thing about, and a topic to be discussed at district and state level.
Most literate people are nutritionally illiterate. You know, when we did our studies related to food label information, we've done series of 3 studies aided by WHO India again. And then in the first, we've seen how our regulation compares to those of the other countries, and how our regulation has actually lived up to the context of health that is there in India. And in the second study, what we have done is we have done supermarket intercept surveys, wherein we've seen what the consumers are seeing when they are buying packaged foods in 2 geographical regions, one city in north and one city in south. And in that, we've seen that if you just go by practices, 90% of the people claim they read labels. But when you go and assess what they're actually looking for, they're either seeing the brand name, or they're seeing the manufacturing date and the best before date, or the expiration date. But, you know, all of them know that there is nutrition information and ingredient list that is there on the label, but they cannot read it, or they don't understand.
If you think of street foods, street food is going to enhance, because with the population pressure going up with the urban migration in the cities, it gives an easy way of earning to lots of people. You don't need skilled laborers for it, and there is a necessity for people to eat. And therefore, with all these kind of a scenario around us, street foods are going to increase, people say they want to throw off street foods quite often. Not possible. Street foods are there, street foods are going to stay, and street foods are going to enhance. Now, how do we handle the whole situation? You need stakeholders. And I think this is where you've brought all the stakeholders in. That's what we did with the street food sector. It is not just a vendor, not just a consumer, not just the municipalities. For example, police. The police has a significantly important role to play where street food is concerned, because these are sold in open public places. Quite often street food vending centers are not just food selling zones, but have other complications also. We must have a point-to-point indication of where food safety is being compromised, like the drug industry. I think the same thing needs to be done for the food safety also.
Since we know that one size does not fit for all, we came up with a regional food safety strategy, and there are 4 key components which we are trying to help at country level to implement. That is multi-sectoral collaboration and coordination, which has been highlighted by previous speakers. And we try to link food security, food safety, and nutrition together. That is relevant particularly in countries like Maldives and Timor-Leste, which are net importer of food. And we are trying to strengthen foodborne disease surveillance and laboratory capacity, public-private partnership. That means try to ensure corporate social responsibility and networking. Basically, it is we have international network of food safety authorities, and we try to share regional platform where we can work together.